Hello, welcome to Cegin y Werin. It's Thursday, so we're doing a live demonstration from our Glassbren kitchen here on the farm. Today I'm working my own, just going to do a cawl by myself. And cawl is going to be most of the ingredients in the veg boxes this week. So we thought we'd just give you a little show on how we do them here. So cawl has got a generic recipe, especially in Wales. It might include lamb. It might include certain vegetables, which we have here, but we like to add other stuff in it too. So as Glassbren fashion, we're always going to add some wild food. So this is dandelion. We've got some nettles here. I'm going to add them in at the end. And what else? I've got some oh, here you go. We've got some dock leaf I'm going to add in too. So yeah, all of these things add another element of nutrition or vitamins or just greenery into the cawl. And yeah, the vegetables we're going to be using today, we've got onions, we've got swede, we've got this turnip, which I just picked out of the ground. I thought I might use that. This is celery leaf, so a bit like celery stalk. We've actually going to be using the celery leaf today. That's going to be in the boxes as well tomorrow. We've got some of this lovely Cawl kale, but it's got like a purpley stem. I love this. I don't know what the name of it is. Do you know what it is called?
Something blue.
Something blue. There you go. And then we've got the Westland winter kale, the curly kale here to put in there too. So I'll start the kale off and I'll do some more chatting in a second. So I've got this big pan today because we are cooking for a lot of people. I'm looking for my ticker. There you go. We are cooking for around 10 people today, so we've got lots of volunteers on the farm, and then tomorrow I'll use this cawl tomorrow for all the volunteers on Fridays. So I've got the heat on there. Got some oil in there too. I might add some more actually because we're cooking for so many people. This recipe that we're doing today is going to be in the veg box tomorrow, and we can also make it available on our new website, which is the most exciting thing that's happened this week. So basically this week Abel has been working for the last months and especially over the last week to get our new website live with our website designer and photographer Heather Burney. So if you're online, check it out. We're really excited by it. Sorry?
What's the address?
What's the address? Ooh, good question. www.glassbren.csa or glassbren.org.uk. Great. So we've got the original Glassbren. Amazing. And as a reminder, Glassbren means sapling in Welsh, if anyone didn't know that. So I've got all of these onions that I've already chopped up, and I'm going to whack them in there, and they're just going to fry away while I get everything else prepped. So yeah, this new website, we are really excited by this because we haven't had a website for a couple of years now because we're kind of like waiting to see what Glassbren develops into. And now we kind of know what we're doing. We have got this website to showcase everything we do here, the veg that we grow, the boxes, the courses that we might start doing. Not might, we will. So next year, Abel, me and Louisa will be hosting a lot of courses. They might be online, they might be in person. But yeah, 2022 is the year for courses at Glassbren. So what do I want to do now? The onions are frying away, and then I'm going to add some potatoes in a minute, but I've cut them up already. And then I need to cut the swede. And for people who have followed this cooking channel before, this table is too wobbly to cut big things like this, so I'm just going to cut this swede here. And I generally just peel it with the knife like this. So this is the first week that our Cegin y Werin is going to be on the YouTube channel, mainly because it means that we can keep all of our videos on the YouTube channel and then refer back to them whenever we want to. So it's not exactly live, but we're acting like it's live, so I can't make any mistakes like I would ever make mistakes ever.
No second take.
No second takes, yeah. But that's okay, I can do it. So this is a swede, if anyone didn't know what a swede was. A bit like a turnip. They are very seasonal at the moment. Everyone's going to get them in the veg box tomorrow. They're good for roasting, so the size that I'm going to be cutting them into now, you can also cut them into for roasting. So, and they're quite difficult to cut, so be careful. But luckily I've got this massive knife that goes through everything. So I'm going to have a look at the onions for a second, because at this point, this is when we want to add some salt in to caramelise them. So the idea is that the salt kind of dehydrates the onions a bit. It also gets it cooking to get all the sugars out, which is why it's called caramelising, because it gets it sweet. And because I'm cooking for so many people, the recipe I've doubled and tripled it. So the one that we'll put online and the one in the veg box is going to be for far fewer people, maybe like 5 to 6. But I'm planning to cook for around 20 with this batch. Yeah, and then so what else has happened on the farm this week? We have got all these volunteers today, and they are currently clearing out one of the tunnels because we're going from our summer crops into our winter crops. So our chilies have just been harvested and removed. The cucumbers came out last week, and it means that we can start putting our beetroots and our cabbages that are just going to sit there over winter, and then we will be able to put them in our veg boxes next spring, which will be March time. And while I'm chopping next to it, I'll quickly talk about this elderberry wine that I made last week. So elderberries are the berries from the elderflower tree, and me and Sophie harvested all the berries last week. We made a healthy vitamin-filled syrup, and then we also made this wine, which is probably going to be it's probably going to be medicinal too, but we were just waiting for it to ferment in these demijohns to become proper wine. So now that I've added that salt in and it's caramelised a bit, I'm going to add all these potatoes. So I just chopped them up into squares, and they're going to go in now because I want to cook them off a bit. I want to fry them off a bit before I add anything else in. So they're going to fry away while I get the other vegetables ready. So the next thing after the potatoes is I'm going to add the swede that I've just chopped up. So all of this swede can go in, so I can use this saucepan now. And then so the rest of the team today, so we're clearing out the tunnels for the new crops, and then we're also closing down some of the beds, because now it comes to this time of year, we can't put any new plants out, outside. So we're closing down some of the beds, which means bringing some leaf mulch from the forest, putting loads of manure down, putting some wood chip down, and then we'll cover that for over winter, so that when we are ready to plant in the springtime, we will have some nice, delicious beds to go into. Great, that's looking nicely in there. And then the other thing that happened, the other exciting thing that happened last week, we had Aline Morgan from the Senedd come down to visit us. That was nice to have a chat with her, show her what we're doing. And yeah, we just gave her a little bit of a tour, and yeah, it was quite nice to meet her, and she seemed like a really nice person. Just going to pop them down there. Lovely, okay. Right, now I'm going to start prepping some of the greens that I'm putting in here. So we've got the celery, we've got the wild food, we've got the kale. It's the kale that I'm going to prep first. So I'm just going to get a handful of this lot, and I'm going to sort of break it up and get my big knife, because I like this one. And a bit like I've shown before, use the bear claw technique to cut vegetables or anything. So you're using your knuckles as like a protector for your fingers, and you're going to go down like this. And it means that you won't ever cut your fingers off, because you're always using the knife against the knuckle. Thank you, Abel, for holding the table sturdy. So this is a really good thing to learn when you're cooking, so that you won't ever cut your fingers off. It's something that I learned in the Warren, and it's stayed with me. And luckily, I haven't cut my fingers off. Well, I think I cut one finger off, but the tip of it. It's probably. Yeah. Okay, so that's some of the kale ready to go in. So in the box this week, everyone's going to be getting a swede. They're going to be getting some potatoes, some local onions as well, and then parsley. Parsley I always find is a really good addition to Cawl. So I can smell the potatoes and the onions cooking away really nicely there. They smell really sweet actually, which is good. So I'm adding the other rooty vegetable, the swede, in now, because swede takes quite a long time to cook, a bit like potatoes. And when it's at this stage now, I'm going to add some water in it, because otherwise the veg will burn on the pan. So this is when I just add some water. Basically that means there's going to be water at the bottom of the pan, and it's going to like steam away the root vegetables in there. Lovely, lovely. I'm hoping that I'm cooking enough here. We're cooking for around 20 people. I'm pretty sure that I have got enough, which is good. So that can sit there nicely, steaming and boiling and cooking away. I've got all the kale that I've got here that I want to put into a pan. And I always do cowls in order of how long they take to cook. So the onions I always want to put in first to caramelise them off. Then it's the potatoes because they take the longest. Then I add in the swede. And then at this point it's when I'm going to add in the parsnip. Now I do apologise that the veg box customers won't get a parsnip this week, because I think I just forgot to order them, all of them. But they've got other things instead. So if you're a veg box customer and you're copying this recipe, just either you can forget about the parsnip, or you can go and get a parsnip from another supplier and you can make this cawl. But like I do with a lot of cooking at Glassbren, it doesn't really matter if you haven't got one of the ingredients. You can just make it work. So this is our first parsnip that we picked from the land today. This is the other one here. So that was really exciting for me, being able to go down and see what kind of parsnip yield there was this year. And it's really surprising actually, because the tops aren't that huge, but the root was was massive inside. Okay, add this parsnip in. So we can always add, if you are a meat eater, some lamb, because traditionally Welsh cawl will always have lamb. Because cawl is always something that is cooked at this time of year when all the harvests are done and the root vegetables are coming into fruition. And I think I remember something in what Abel told me yesterday, is that cawl comes from a Latin word which means warm. So the origin of the name cawl is actually just warm. So it doesn't really matter what's in there, as long as it warms our cockles in the autumn days. That's a huge piece of swede. I'm not going to be able to. Cockles in a cawl. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, great. So that's actually steaming away really nicely in there. Lovely. I'm going to add some more salt. So something that I have been talking about doing on the Cegin y Werin is some kimchi, because I fermented some chilies the other day. And I think if all goes well, next week I'm going to make some kimchi from all of the brassica leaves that are slowly going to start dying away now, so I want to use them now. So yeah, next week should be another fermenting session for Cegin y Werin. And if I haven't mentioned it, Cegin y Werin means peasant's kitchen, because at Glassbren we're a community farm where we try and be really connected to the land, what's available seasonally, and we call ourselves peasants of the modern world. Quite flexible peasants of the modern world. And so Peasant's Kitchen is Cegin y Werin. Right, what have I got in here? I've got the onions, I've got the potatoes, I've got the swedes, I've got the parsnips. And that's all great. And now I'm going to add some more. One thing I didn't have much of for this recipe was leek. I've only got one leek here, which I need to go and wash quickly. But yeah, usually it requires more than one leek in this recipe. But we'll just have to make do. Like I said, it doesn't really matter with ingredients on this kind of cawl. All it's supposed to do is warm us up. So this leek was from our local veg growers called James and Claire, because we can't always grow all of the vegetables for our veg boxes at Glassfriend, so we have a lot of local growers that we team up with. This one is James and Claire, and they're a local couple from Whitland area, and they grow some fantastic vegetables. And then we also get supplies from C&M Organics, which is actually where I learned how to grow veg. So C&M Organics is Chris and Matthew and everyone else in the family. They all they've had a veg farm there for about 30 or so years, and that's why I learned how to grow all vegetables there. And they supply us with a lot of the extra stuff that we need to put in the boxes. Okay, great. So we'll put that parsnip to one side. Oh, do you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to cook the garlic with the onions, but that's not a problem because I didn't want to burn it anyway, so I don't have a problem with putting it in now. So I'm going to use about that many cloves of garlic. And with garlic, I've never had a problem with putting it in raw or halfway between cooking, because yeah, garlic is one of those things where I certainly don't ever want to overcook it. Certainly not burn it, because it takes away all of the goodness of what garlic can offer. A few weeks ago we had Alex Cook on our Cegin y Werin, and while he was here we were talking about the community kitchen that we've got at the Nurture Centre. So I'm just adding that garlic in now. And basically that's kicked off. Supperbox have started to cook ready meals with the gluts from farms or the extra food that's available around, and they make it into these ready meals that low-income families can then go and collect and pick up, so that rather than them having to cook veg from scratch, which some people find difficult or haven't got the time for, they can just simply go into the Nurture Centre and pick up a ready-made frozen meal. So there's going to be much more of that over the winter, and we've even just officially decided to do another Christmas dinner. So the Nurture Centre and Supperbox are going to be doing, like they did last year, receiving donations from anyone and then cooking, I don't know, about 50 to 100, 150 Christmas dinners that are going to be then delivered on Christmas Eve. So if anyone wants to donate to that, go onto the Nurture Centre website. I'm not sure if there's a donate button yet, but follow us on Facebook, and then you'll be able to see when all that stuff comes out. So that's really exciting, because I think that's exactly what more people need to be doing at Christmas time, is just sharing the wealth. So now I'm going to be working with the herbs that I'm going to be putting in. So this is thyme, rosemary and sage, which I just picked from the garden. And if you don't have access to these things, then mixed herbs is just as good. I just like using these fresh herbs because they smell so good. Wow, they do smell really amazing. So, like I was saying about this whole Christmas dinner thing, there's lots of options for anyone over Christmas to, rather than give presents, you can like pay it forward. So with Glassbren, soon we'll be announcing our Christmas gift cards, and basically it means that you can spend £10 and that would then pay for someone's veg box, like a low-income solidarity member who can't usually afford good vegetables. You can pay £10 as a gift to someone else, and they can then have a veg box sometime next year. So have a look at our website, have a look at our Facebook page, because we will be announcing that maybe next week, I think, Gabriel? Yeah. So the herbs have gone in, great. The root vegetables are cooking nicely. I'm going to go whack some carrots in there now. The other thing that happened in Nurture this week is that we are setting up our new cinema. So it's going to be a community cinema, and it's like we just invested in like a screen and some speakers, and over the next few months there's going to be options just to come and watch all sorts of films. If you've got any films that you want to play yourself, any documentaries that you're interested in, you can talk to us and then get them screened. And then the other thing that's happening at Nurture Centre at Christmas time is that Glass Bren, we're not doing a normal veg box for Christmas. We're doing more of a come and collect a veg box at Nurture Centre. So on the 22nd of December, I think that's the date, 22nd of December, you can come over to the Nurture Centre and pre-order a Christmas style veg box. So if you're interested in that, then drop us an email and we can get that sorted. Oops. Okay, lovely. So the carrots can go in there now. Sorry everyone, I just dropped my microphone. There we go. So I've added the carrots in there now, lovely. It's so handy that I've got this massive paddle to stir all this huge amount of cawl. Okay, now I want to add some celery leaf. So as I said before, this is the celery leaf here, and this is what's going to be in the veg box, and it's a different variety to the celery you might get in a supermarket, which is all stems. This is much more for culinary purposes, as in for cooking. So it's got more flavour in the leaf. Look at that green, that's lovely, amazing. So I've added those herbs in, I've added the carrots in, and now I'm going to add this celery leaf in. I don't bother chopping it too much because, yeah, I don't spend too much time chopping into small pieces. You can all go in like that. And celery is one of those things that's always good in stocks because, I don't know, it's just got really good flavour and it's in most stocks that you can get. I'm also going to add in the wild food. So, as I mentioned before, we've got some dandelion, we've got some dock. And when you're picking dandelion dock, it's always good to pick the wild food that isn't flowering, because when it's flowering, it's putting all of its energy into the flowers rather than into the leaves. So you get a bit of a bitterness, and a lot of wild foods, if you eat them when they're flowering, they've got more of like a bitter taste that's not very good for human consumption. Similar to the nettles. Nettles this time of year are often flowering, but ones on our farm we're picking them all the time, so they're not flowering just yet. So don't pick the flowering ones, and just pick the tops like that. Pick the ones like that. And I'm not going to chop them because I don't want to get stung, so I'm just going to put them straight in. Wonderful. So that's got all the wild food in it now. I'm going to add this kale that I chopped earlier. That's all going in now too. Wonderful. So I'm going to get some more water to top it all up. So this is a kettle that I boiled just now, and basically I'm going to fill it so that water is just covering the top leaves there. Do you know, that smells really good. I'm really excited to eat this. Okay, we've added the root vegetables, we've added the greens, we've added the herbs. I'm going to add parsley as the last addition, because parsley I always find is a really good addition to any of the cowls I make. And it's one of those herbs that we've got a lot at this time of year, and we try and grow it over the season in the tunnel. So all that parsley is going to go in there now. And I think I've put all the ingredients. I've put the kale in, I've put the carrots, I've put the potatoes, I've put the onions, I've put the swede, I've put the garlic, I've put the wild food, I've put the parsley. I think that's everything. So one thing needs to happen is we need to add a lot of pepper in. So I'm going to add a lot of pepper into this one. I'm not going to add salt yet. I'm going to wait for it to cook away and then taste it, and then season to taste, as they say. And so our glass bren cawl is now ready just to cook away. This will take around another 25 minutes to really cook away and get all the flavours into the root vegetables and make sure all of the wild food is all cooked properly. There we go. That is the glass bren cawl ready for today's volunteers and tomorrow's volunteers, and showing you guys so you can make it at home if you want to. Thank you for joining me. We'll be trying to do this every Thursday, but they'll always be available on our YouTube channel, and I think straight on our website too. Yeah, on our new website. Yeah, thanks for joining. See you again.